Dr. Pope.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all, commissioners and citizens, residents, applicants, to the last Planning Commission meeting for the town of Smithfield for 2023. Would you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on our agenda tonight is Community Development and Planning Director Report. Director Clary, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. Last month, Vice Chair Hillegas inquired about the 7-Eleven sign. It is being refaced, and they did receive a zoning permit waiver for that, and I believe it has been completed at this point. Additionally, I just want to clarify that town council committees were moved to Monday, December 18th, not on Tuesday, December 26th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Item number 2 is upcoming meetings and activities. On December 19th, Tuesday, Board of Historic and Architectural Review meeting. Also on the 19th is a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, 7:30. And Tuesday, December 26th, 3 p.m., we have Town Council Committee meetings. That is what you just said, right?
That's what was just moved to the 18th, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. And Tuesday, January the 2nd, we have Town Council meeting here at the center, 6:30 p.m. Necessary, Tuesday, January 9th, 6:30 p.m., we have the Planning Commission meeting. Okay, item number 3 is public comments. The public is invited to speak to the Planning Commission on any matters except scheduled public hearings. I have a sign-up sheet. I have 3 people signed up. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person, and a required response from the town will be provided in writing following the meetings. First person signed up, we have George Covington.
Good evening, Chairman and
Yes.
members of the Planning Board. My name is George Covington. I reside at 230 Villa Drive, Smithfield, Virginia, since 2007. I thought I was going to listen to the presentation that was going to be given because I know nothing. I didn't receive a package or anything of that nature. But the concerns that I had, I did make me some notes that I would be concerned about any project within the town of Smithfield. We just went through over on Route 10, and you heard the residents of the town of Smithfield on character and historical land architectural design. Now, we don't have to go through that again because I just saw a copy tonight. I haven't had a chance to look at the architectural design of the applicants that he is submitting, but I would be concerned with the character of the design. If you look at the Town Bank, Royal Farm, Dollar General, and even the latest DMV, the character of the town of Smithfield in that area meets the standard that was been there since 2007 and prior before. And if you go down Battery Park Road, even the storage unit meet the standard. And a definite, the villas meet the standard of the historical architectural design. So anything different from that, I would be opposed to. The density of the project of 130 homes versus 76 there at the villas, that is a high density for that area. The stormwater management system was decided back in 2002. And there hasn't been the management of the stormwater system, as I understand it today, is the county, our right. And the villas manage that system. So any changes, I would suggest that we have a statement from the county saying that the drainage will not impact the stormwater system. Because even though the system was designed to handle 26 acres, Village has 18, the other portion was 26. Now with the development there, I think it's down to 16 or 17. Now, in 2002, when this was put in place, well, Village had a low density and 76 unit. Now when you come with the commercial development and the perfect area of the runoff, and not only the runoff, the vehicles that are being parked there, the residue on them is going to drain as they move about on the property. So I would suggest that the county do a study to protect that stormwater management system. And Battery Park, traffic, there need to be an independent study, not by developers or anything of that nature, to determine the impact of traffic, not DOT, because DOT mission is to move from point A to point B on major arteries. What the town is facing here is 6 entry off from Battery Park that need to be addressed.
1 minute remaining.
Okay, thank you. And we know that with the number of units being proposed to be built here in the town of Smithfield, exceed 2,500 or more, that's going to have a drastic impact on our infrastructure system. And we need to be prepared to address that with new development coming into the town of Smithfield. HRD is closing their sewage system in Newport News, moving it to Suffolk. And my understanding a couple of years ago, the article about the antiquated pumping station here in the town of Smithfield, and with all the rooftops you got coming in, you need to address it before you go further. And it will, and these rooftops will have an impact on the school system. Thank you. But I was waiting to see what the developer had to present. I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Covington.
Mr. Brown, if I might.
Yes, please.
Mr. Covington, just want to let you know, we hear you, and we understand. And I only really have 2 comments to what you said. And the first is that prior to Mallory Point, this area behind Royal Farms was approved for 15 10-plexes, so it was zoned for 150 homes. The application that we're going to review this evening that has many steps to go through before is a reduction in that. It's 130 versus the 150. So that is a plus right now. And secondly, the stormwater issues you brought up will absolutely have to be addressed. There's no opportunity for a waiver of requirements on anything on stormwater. So we hear you, and we will continue to look at this.
I appreciate that. And that original 150 unit was 5 years ago. So much changes have taken place, and the town is changing too, so we have to stay ahead of our game.
Yes, sir.
Also, the infrastructure's already been accounted for with Mallory Point and the upgrades that they have, because they've had to meet all of the water requirements, the sewer requirements for that lot, as well as what's gone down Battery Park. So with the future expansion of Mallory Point and all the infrastructure, that's already been accounted for in their calculations. And I think I'm correct for that, am I not?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Mallory Point and this project and the other projects that are being proposed to be developed, you need to bring them all, consolidate them, and look at them as a complete package.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next sign up is Mr. David Stoker, Did I get that right?
Yep, you did good. Hi, my name is David Stoker. I live at 106 Villa Drive. I've been a resident of the town of Smithfield since 2008, except for a 30-day deviation. I've always been a resident. I used to be the prior director or the board president for the villas. It's now been replaced by Mr. Danny Beloit on that side, but I was just handed this tonight, declaration of easement agreement dated the 28th of May 2021 about the stormwater management system, and I'd like to remind this board, all of them, including the town council attorney, that there was a court case that we held in the city of Suffolk concerning the easement agreement, and we had a jury verdict in our favor. So that needs to be understood, because I'm not sure that when I read this document, they said they want to delineate the terms and conditions. We've already done that on that side. So that's the first thing which goes along with Mr. Covington. Second thing that I have a concern about is the outflow of traffic, the way it's set up to go on Battery Park and it's go on Church Street. Church Street has an entrance less than 50 yards away that goes into DMB, and that entrance also serves the Royal Farms. On the other side, you have an entrance out onto Battery Park, which is approximately 75 yards from the villas and going into Moon Road, and 25 yards from John Rolfe Highway, and a left turn and right turn entrance into Royal Farms. For the record, many times have I seen people leave Royal Farms and make a left turn from the right-hand turn lane, totally disregarding that whole process. But the big thing is that the traffic that is going to change the community out there and how it's going to affect all the residents, not just the people in the villas, but all the residents, because you're adding a roughly 130 homes, 2 cars per home, that's 260 cars. What are they going to do with them on that side? And then third thing that goes with it is that the developer's asking to put in 130 homes. What are we going to do to fund the police department, the fire department, and the rescue squad with special taxes or whatever on that side for these additional homes? We also have the hospital going up next in Isle of Wight County. I believe this board, when it's considering an application, that these items be brought into play and delineated, expressed by the developer how they're going to manage it and why they're going to manage it. Not cheap words, but actual something in print that you can hold them accountable for. That's my main concern, since this is a discussionary topic, and we'll be following up from there on that side. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Mr. Stoker? Yes, sir. No, we're just saying thank you.
Oh.
Thank you, sir. Next signed up is Ms. Mary Ellen Biebermeyer.
Good evening, Mary Ellen Biebermeyer, 355 Grace Street. I don't have a lot to say because, again, I also am looking forward to hearing the discussion points about this new development on Battery Park. I am concerned that we've opened up a can of worms with the approval of the Grange project, where we keep approving all these special use permits, and I'm wondering why we have zoning requirements for a reason, if everybody can just come in, special use that, special use this. So I think we need to be cautious of that. I don't think a change in housing from 150 to 130 is that great of a reduction, but I too am concerned about the traffic on Battery Park. Given that corner there's a lot of coming and going there. So with all the homes coming at Mallory Point, I don't see a 2-lane road being able to handle all that. So I would think myself, 130 is already too much. I have tried to look at the proposal that came through, and I couldn't really tell if it was multifamily housing or not. But I do appreciate Mr. Pack at the last, I think it was the October meeting, and it's in the only reason I was there, but I saw it in the notes of the minutes that we're going to approve. that you were not going to be in favor going forward, since we already approved Mallory Point and the Grange, that you're going to be quite skeptical of any multifamily housing. So I think with that comes the density, and I'm sorry to call you out on that. I mean,
I said that, yes,
I
did.
just want to clarify. But I think what we're all concerned about is the density, and it's not a very big piece of property, so I think we need to be careful going through. There is a misnomer that I think people think if we have more houses, more development, that's going to bring in more money to the town. The problem is we get to a point where we end up spending more money than we're taking in. The fire, the police, the utilities, the schools, all that. We end up getting to a point too far, and I think we're going to have to start saying no, for lack of a better word. So I appreciate your time. I look forward to hearing more about this. Thank you very much.
Ms. Bieber Martin, thank you. That's all we have signed up. Now, if there's anyone who didn't sign up that would like to speak about anything publicly now in front of this commission, now is the time to do it, as long as it doesn't concern public hearings that's scheduled for tonight. Seeing none, public comments. Item number 3 is closed. Item number 4, Planning Commission comments. Had a few comments already. Any more? No? Okay. Well, I will say, what the town has been through over the past several years with all the developments that's been coming, and some approved already, Mallory Point in particular, the Grange at 10, the one we have before us tonight as a discussion item, and the others. There's those on Ben's Church Boulevard that's coming up. When we get these applications, we get comments from other departments, other government agencies around the county, some from the state. We get them from VDOT. We get them from the school systems, Isle of Wight County school system. We get them from the police department, fire department. We get some from the town's engineering department and others. And I have noticed over the past couple of years, from the past, when these things come up, it's not just the citizens concerned about how fast we are growing, but I've seen a change in the tone from these agencies that have input into these applications as well. And I'm saying that we do listen and we are concerned about your concerns. We're concerned about the town and how it develops as well. I've had some communication with someone from the Isle of Wight County Planning Commission. And I've been reading the papers. I've been keeping up with what's going on in the papers. And there's this idea that we need to have more intergovernmental agency meetings to discuss Smithfield's future and the county. We need to discuss that as a group. They're beginning to have the same concerns you all are having. So with that being said, maybe the sentiment of everyone involved is going to address these developments going forward into the future. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that at this time. Anyone else? Any other commissioner have anything to say? Yes? No. That's good? No? Okay. All right. Oh, no further planning commission comments. Item number 4 is closed. Item number 5, We have an entrance corridor overlay application. This is 1604 South Church Street. It's about a sign. Ethan Capps, LLC, DBA Smithfield Electric, the applicant. Could we have the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you, sir. The applicant is seeking approval to reface an approximate 32-square-foot sign for a new business located at 1604 South Church Street. It will feature translucent lettering in red or maroon with an opaque white background. This application originally appeared on the Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 Planning Commission agenda and was tabled so that the applicant could be present. Town staff do recommend clarification on the ECO guidelines, as Section G requires internally lit signs shall use an opaque background so only letters are lit, and Article 10 states that internal lighting shall be limited to an internal white light contained within translucent letters and internal illuminated sign boxes, provided the background or field on which the copy and logos are placed is opaque. Also, approval should be contingent on obtaining a sign permit and the requisite fee. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant? No.
Hello.
Here. Yes, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Ethan Capps. I live at 15270 Uzzell Church Road. The address of the property in question is 1604 South Church Street in Smithfield.
Yes, sir. Anything you would like to add?
No, everything she read was within the guidelines as far as I understand it, and then I guess I'm here to answer any questions you guys have.
Yes, I think this application was tabled at the last meeting. There were some commissioners that had some concerns, had some questions. Dr. Pope, any questions for the applicant?
I think our concern from the sign from last time is that it's a white sign and it's supposed to be opaque in the background. And so there was some concerns that with the lighting, backlighting of this, is that, how was this going? Because if I understand this correctly, this is your logo, is that correct?
Yes.
And so they were saying because it's a white sign with red lettering, that would not meet our current sign guidelines. So we were trying to figure out, are you going to stick with a white sign and red lettering or maroon, or are you going to reverse that, and how we were going? Because there's other ways to opaque the white if you want to keep your logo. So we weren't sure what your intentions were of how you wish to backlight this sign and how you wanted to do it, because we had questions about it, didn't have those answered.
Yeah. Well, as far as the logo is just red. There's no white in the logo, so the white is just a background. The only thing illuminated will be the red logo, and it'll be done through 2 layers. The foremost layer will be white and will be opaque, so nothing will shine through, and then the second layer behind it, well, there'll be a cutout in the opaque layer, and then the layer behind it will be a full sheet that'll be maroon or red, and then there'll be internal lighting that'll illuminate through the red lettering. So I don't understand what about that doesn't meet the guidelines, and if it's not, if it wasn't explained clearly, I don't know if that's the issue.
Well, the way I understand it is that when a sign is lit, the white background is going to be very bright.
Yeah, the
So
white
if you
background
have a
will not.
different color, we want the letters to shine through. On this sign, the background would light up and the letters would be a negative, if you want to say that. So it wasn't meeting the SCI guideline, but there was discussion that you needed to change your sign to red background with white lettering, or there's other ways to opaque the white
Yeah.
in order that you can keep your original sign as long as the white is opaqued out and the red is shining through. So we just didn't know what your intention was.
My intention is for the white to be opaque and for nothing to shine through the white. The only thing that'll illuminate will be the red. That's my intention. If I can't make it work like that, I'm open to suggestions. I don't want to do a red background with white lettering. It's just not the look I'm going for. But, if I need to just illuminate the whole sign and just have one sheet that has, I'm okay with going back to that idea. But my ideal option is for the white part to be opaque and only the red lettering to be illuminated.
But yeah, our discussions, there was 2 ways to opaque it. And so we wanted to know which way you were leaning.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? I have none.
I would ask,
I mean, being opaque, it has nothing to do with the colors, the material.
Correct.
Ms. Clary, is the way that the applicant described his sign, would that meet our guidelines?
So if I remember correctly, the question was the percentage of opaqueness, and provided that it was 100% opaque, then it would be in compliance.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Okay, no further questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Cap?
Am I dismissed?
Well, you might want to stay and see how,
Wait for the vote.
see what recommendation you get. The
Mr. Chair, I
applicant's-
make a recommendation that we approve the signs as long as they stay within the guidelines.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the application as presented, including staff recommendations. No further questions? No further comments? I call for the vote.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
And Chairman Bryan?
Yes. Motion has been adopted.
Now you can go.
You approve. Item number 6 on our agenda tonight. This is a public hearing. This is an accessory apartment. This is 48 Riverside Drive, Thomas Grover, the applicant. Staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. The applicant is seeking approval for an accessory apartment in accordance with the Smithfield zoning ordinance, Article 2Q. The applicant is related to the owners of the primary structure by blood, adoption, or marriage, and the primary structure will continue to be occupied. The applicant is proposing the accessory apartment would be located over the freestanding garage, which is in compliance with 2QA8. It will be approximately 24 feet in height over the existing 915 square foot garage. Because the existing garage is approximately 12.8 feet from the side property line, the Board of Zoning Appeals approval will be required in order to allow it to encroach into the 15-foot required side yard setback. Additionally, because the height of the accessory structure will exceed the height of the primary dwelling, which is only 15 feet 6 inches, a second special use permit is required in accordance with Smithfield Zoning Ordinance Article 3BC25. The positives is that the application will allow the applicant to have an accessory apartment in conformance with the zoning ordinance. Negatives is not a by right use and does require a special use permit. Town staff recommend that approval should be conditioned on the height of the structure that cannot exceed 24 feet, and the applicant must also obtain a special use yard exception from the BZA. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Okay, we have no one signed up for the public comments on this application. Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you would have anything to add to your application for the commission to consider.
My name is Thomas Grover. I'm from 4402 Cole Avenue, Suffolk. I'm not sure what I could add. I'm open to any questions you would have concerning this.
Okay. Does the commissioner have any questions for the applicant?
So you do not live at this residence at that time? No, it's my daughter and her husband and their family.
No other questions from the commission? Yes, sir. You may be seated.
Thank you.
We may call you back. This being a public hearing, is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak in favor of or opposition to this application? Hearing seeing none. Public hearing portion of this application is closed. Planning Commission comments.
I've got no problem with it. The reason for it is outlined, and the structure, everything about it, I just don't have a problem with it.
No other comments?
I don't have any problems with it either. What happens if a family member family members can always live in this structure after these occupants no longer occupy this, is that correct? Because it has to be, for accessory structure, it has to be immediate family or it has to be family members? Is that correct, for that to be acceptable?
They have to be related to the owners of the primary structure by blood, adoption, or marriage.
In this particular application?
That is in our zoning ordinance in section Q. It lists out the requirements of who can live in this accessory dwelling unit.
And that goes to my question. We have in our ordinances that residents, single-family homes, detached homes, and suburban residential, neighborhood residential, by right can build an accessory apartment. Do I understand that correctly? Am I?
So part of section Q lays out the requirements for the accessory apartments. It does state that they need to acquire a special use permit for it.
But it doesn't require blood in those instances.
It does.
It does?
It does.
So you can't rent it as a, well, we have these
Like Airbnb.
Airbnb. You can't, you
No, sir.
cannot. Okay.
But other family members can come and go out of this apartment over the decades as long as they're related by blood or
Provided
whatever.
they meet the definition and the stipulations in the ordinance.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Pack,
Yes, sir.
I thought you had a question, comment.
It was answered.
Oh, okay.
It was answered, yes, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion? No? No, we have an application before us.
I would make a motion to approve as presented with any stipulations dictated by the town for their special use permits, et cetera.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recommend this application favorably as presented with the conditions given by town staff. Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
And Chairman Bryan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is adopted. This application will go before the town council for recommended to the town council favorably. Next item on our agenda tonight. Item number 7. Item number 7. One of our members is not here yet, stuck in traffic. Has requested that this application, this item move down until their arrival. Should expect them any time now. No one has any opposition to that? No?
For me, no.
Okay. We're moving item number 7 down, and we're going to item number 8. Item number 8 is a site plan amendment. This is a PC waiver, Planning Commission waiver, entrance corridor overlay application. This is tax plat 2109089A, Town of Smithfield, care of Greg Smith is the applicant. Report, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. The applicant is seeking approval for a maintenance area for the Longleaf Pine Park located at Windsor Castle Park. This area will be surrounded by a 6-foot black vinyl chain link fence and will feature dual 10-foot swing gates. The 4 material storage bins are approximately 400 square feet each, 20 by 20, and will be behind the proposed tree line from Cedar Street. Leaving the material storage area will be a gravel driveway that then connects to an asphalt driveway, which connects to Jericho Road. The applicants are also providing additional landscaping to help shield the structure and road from Cedar Street and the Route 10 bypass. This landscaping consists of 16 trees, 33 shrubs, and almost 4,400 square feet of hardwood mulch. This site plan amendment application will provide the applicant with the material storage area for the parks. This property is located within the ECO, and a planning commission waiver is required for the use of gravel. Staff do suggest that the favorable recommendation, suggest approval is conditioned on the applicant complying with any comments from Isle of Wight County in regards to stormwater. Thank you.
Thank you. So this being an amendment, a waiver. And the applicant, is the applicant here? Yes. Yes. Anything we'd like to add? Please, name and address for the record, please.
Amy Novak, 3274 South Shore Drive, Smithfield, Virginia, also Town of Smithfield Parks Director. This is a laydown yard for our materials that we use on the trails and for landscaping over at the park. That way it's secure and people can't help themselves and kids don't use it as a playground to play on.
Mulch piles are fun, Amy, are you sure?
I know.
You all have any questions?
Only question or comment I have, looking at your site plan where you have this structured fence, you've got your road coming in. Would it not make sense to have a gate on the backside? Because according to your site plan, you're only about 20 feet from one of the gravel roads. It would be awfully convenient to drive your equipment right through the back of the fence to get on your gravel road to make repairs, as opposed to coming all the way back down Jericho, all the way back to the park entrance, and all the way back on the trail. So it'd be interesting to put a gate on the back side of that, so you have more access to the gravel road, so you have more access to get, if you're repairing the gravel road, you're over halfway there.
Or the trail sections behind it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
for me, I would say, would you please think about a gate back there, only because it gives you direct access to the trail,
Instead of, or both of them?
both of them.
Yes,
I
sir.
think you need it from the front side, though,
Okay.
to bring the material
Yeah,
in,
to
but the
drop
back
them off.
side for convenience purposes.
a good idea.
Yep, I like it.
It's a really good idea.
But otherwise, I'm fine with the proposal.
Good suggestion, Dr. Pope.
Just send us your bill.
That's right.
Well, just for the record, I believe I know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. The road that you're putting in there, off Jericho, it's asphalt. Halfway through, it changed to gravel, and I suspect that is your waiver, I take it. Why? Why the switch to gravel halfway through?
There was supposed to be other development over there. We were considering putting in a parking lot for access to the Longleaf Pine area, but now we're reconsidering that parking area and just adding on to the main parking over by the dog park. So right now, this is just for our maintenance needs. So we don't need a full asphalt road all the way back in.
Okay.
What was it, Amy, that you're doing up by the dog park? What?
I hope to expand parking there to add about
Oh.
80 more spaces, so the parking lot goes all the way out to Jericho Road.
Thank you.
That hasn't been before y'all that, so I haven't jumped the gun.
Like to know your thinking.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Are they going to revise their request to add the suggested gate by Dr. Pope?
So I would say I'd make a motion to recommend approval for this, with the exception that if the town so desires a gate in the back, they have our permission to do so,
Second.
while complying with all the recommendations by Isle of Wight County storm water management.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve this application as presented with the conditions of a rear gate. Is that optional? rear gate as proposed by Dr. Pope?
Optional from us, it's up to them to decide, do they want
Okay.
it?
Okay.
What you're saying is it's not a condition, it's something that if they want it, they don't have to come back to us.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Just giving them a blank check.
Okay, blank check. Okay. Okay. All right. Then we have a motion and a second to accept this application as presented with the conditions provided by staff and the option of a rear gate as proposed with Dr. Pope. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Chairman Brine?
Yes. Motion is adopted. Next on our item agenda tonight is number 9. It's a public hearing. This is a special use permit application, site plan, planning commission waiver, entrance corridor overlay application, and this was 888 West Main Street, town of Smithfield. Here, Greg Smith, applicant. The report, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. The applicant is seeking approval to erect a 4,000 square foot maintenance building. The building will be approximately 50 by 80 and not taller than 18 feet in height. It will also feature a maintenance storage area with 3 bins, approximately 400 square feet each, 20 by 20, along with a 6-foot black vinyl chain link fence. The new maintenance facility will also provide an asphalt driveway connection to the Luter Sports Complex and provide lighted overflow parking. That would be 62 spaces, including 1 handicapped parking space. 2 new handicap spaces have been created at the Luter Sports Complex. The applicant is seeking a Planning Commission waiver according to Article 8H4 to allow for a modification of the handicap space requirements. This would be allowing the 2 handicap spaces closer to the main area at Luter Sports. The applicant will be providing a total of 20 trees, 135 shrubs, and 2,800 square feet of hardwood mulch. The applicant is seeking an SUP for the proposed use of public use and public facilities in accordance with Article 3AC5 and 14. Article 13 defines public use as any area, building, or structure held or used or controlled exclusively for public purposes by any department or branch of the town of Smithfield, Isle of Wight County, state government, federal government, without reference to the ownership of the building or structure or of the realty of which it is situated. Article 13 defines public facility as a building or part thereof owned or leased by a government agency and used for governmental functions by an agency or political subdivision of the U.S. Commonwealth, county, or town, also referred to as a public facility. Both of these uses are proposed for this property. The maintenance building will be an all-brick building featuring 3 windows, each with 4 panes. There will be a white side canopy over the entrance double doors. There will be 3 metal roll-up doors, 2 larger openings, and 1 smaller one. The applicant is seeking a Planning Commission waiver in accordance with Article 2AA4 for potential relief from the ECO guidelines in order to allow a suitable substitute material for the exterior of the sides and rear of the building. Positives is site plan application will provide the applicant with a material storage area, maintenance building, and overflow parking for Luter Sports Complex. Negatives is property is located within the ECO and a Planning Commission waiver is required for modified handicap parking space locations. The 2 proposed uses do require an SUP. Thank you.
Thank you. This being a public hearing, we have no sign-ups. If anyone wishes to speak in favor of or against this application, you may do so now. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Planning Commission comments.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm reading this, so I'm reading 2 things here. I'm reading that the maintenance building will be an all-brick building. And then I'm reading in the next paragraph that they're seeking a waiver to use suitable substitute material for the exterior on the sides and rear of the building. So I'm seeing 2 different pieces here. Amy, do you want to care to elaborate?
Yes,
Jamie?
sir. To help control cost, and because of the nature of the building, because it's a maintenance building, I'd like to do the front in the brick, and then the sides and the back in the metal style exterior. Two of the sides you won't be able to see because the back side faces the pole barn, and then the other side faces the wood line that is adjacent to West Side Elementary.
I'm sorry, did you say metal?
Yes, sir.
To be used how?
To be used on the sides and back, and just use brick on the front to help reduce cost.
Can you define the front of the building? Because on the elevation views, they're listed as end elevation and side elevation.
The front
So-
would be facing Main Street.
258.
So yes, but what do you consider in the front of the building
The short side,
with the circle?
correct.
That portion is our offices, and they would have nice windows and a nice entry door.
And I'm assuming the back of the building that we don't see in the other side are solid brick, no windows.
No windows.
Well, it's going to be no surprise that I want to see an all-brick building. We hold everybody else to this standard. This is why we put this standard on local government. We have a nice facility, particularly with the garage doors that'll be facing people as you enter Luter Sports. They'll be on your right-hand side. You would see those. It is my opinion that we hold ourselves, and by ourselves, I mean the town, to the same standards that we've passed.
Is this brick also going to match the brick that's currently existing at the park?
Yes.
It's made out of the same
On the
material?
entry walls and on the concession building at the back of the venue.
Yeah. Of course, I'm in favor of an all-brick building, as you've known from many meetings in the past. But I understand it's a maintenance building, but I still say this every chance I get. It's a colonial building, it needs a steeper roof, but it's a maintenance building, I get it. But for me, as a public building that we're doing, I mean, it should have a 12-12 or 10-12 pitched roof for me. But I'm not going to hold you to that tonight, but if we're building public buildings, they should be colonial buildings with steep roofs and appropriate architectural shingles that look like slate.
Also note, the concession building at the rear of the venue is split-face block with brick trims. So I also want to keep all the buildings similar in style, just so
Because
the
that's what the
facility
current,
looks planned out.
because that's what the current concession stand has.
Yes, sir.
But we're not on that part of it, right?
No, sir.
Correct, okay.
But I just wanted to mention that part.
The only other question I have, I mean, I feel the same way Randy does, that it should be a all-brick building. If people park in this accessory parking lot, I don't think I see a sidewalk connecting this back to Luter Drive. Is there a connection through there for people to cut across from the parking lot somewhere for them to get across there? I see the road going in, but I guess my question is, if I park in those island parking spaces and want to walk over to the football field, how would I get there?
There is a sidewalk that runs already, that comes off the sidewalk that runs in front of West Side and into the facility.
Yeah, but how does the parking lot connect to
Like, how do you
Luter
get
Drive?
out of the parking
Yeah.
lot?
There'd have to be a crosswalk.
In the road, but I'm talking about in the grass,
Oh,
coming across where the cypress trees are that are, I guess, existing already.
Yeah, there's quite a few drainage facilities that go through that area between the parking and the sidewalk. And so it would be challenging from an ADA perspective to add a sidewalk there to allow people to cross there. We'd rather them walk back down the driveway towards the sidewalk.
So the goal is to put them on the road,
The entrance road, yep.
the entrance road?
As opposed to connecting the parking lot to Luter Drive. I'm assuming it's called Luter Drive.
I don't think there's a road, I don't think there's a name for it, actually.
there's not.
Football road. I don't know, but I don't know, it seems a little weird to me that we don't have a connection there. I can't imagine. If I park there, I'm gonna take A to B, shortest route.
Yeah, and a lot of people probably will. I think if you look at that park as a whole, where all the parking is situated and all the driveways that connect it, people are walking through parking lots and driveways all over the park currently.
But I don't know how much you need parking, because I'm not there during these facilities any longer, so I don't know how much this overflow parking is gonna be used.
I think
It's
it'll-
well used. Every Saturday, we run out of parking. Just with baseball going on, and when we have baseball and football going, then parking is at a premium. You can't find a place to park.
So do we, if you encourage people to go that way, should there be a sidewalk beside that entrance road for people to walk on and not in the road?
I think we could take a look at that. I would almost want to take them,
Or you don't necessarily do a sidewalk, I guess you could do like a bike path on the side of a road where it's delineated and you pave it, but delineate
yeah,
it.
that's what I was thinking. I mean, we would, instead of trying to, even though people will probably still do what you'll do, which is cut through the grass, I think we'd be better off having a sidewalk on the back of the parking lot that kind of parallels the driveway in from a grading perspective to get people back to the main sidewalk versus just cutting one straight through the landscaping and the ditch and everything else. Just because then you'll have that one point and everybody who parks on the back corner will have to walk across the parking lot to get to it. So you want to kind of convey people, channelize people to one location. But we'll take a look at access for that, and my main concern is accessibility. As soon as you put a sidewalk in, it's got to be accessible, ADA compliant. So with the grades right there, I think we'd want to look at a different route possibly.
So there is a sidewalk there, Jamie, that runs along that road now that exists.
There is.
And there appears to be a crosswalk where the sidewalk crosses that road as well.
There is.
And I don't know if we could tie into that, but I would hate as a town for us to put a youth sports complex where we expect the parents and their children to walk down the road. There's an entrance corridor.
Yeah, we'll look at having a sidewalk or some type of a walkway along that entrance road.
Sure.
Because that's really the route, but out of the driveway itself. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And with respect to the brick on the building, I understand that everybody needs to control costs, and I understand how much brick adds to it. I would be amenable, if you wished, to allow brick on 3 sides, and they would be the sides that, what you call the front, the side that faces the roadway, and then the side that would face the ballpark. So it would be the front, back, and one side. And then the area that backs up to the tree line there is not seen. And I would consider, if Planning Commission thought it was appropriate, to allow that not to be brick, particularly if we could trade dollars for a sidewalk to get people safely across. I think that's a reasonable accommodation.
I agree with you. The brick on 3 sides. In your drawings, I don't see where you have any metal renderings, not the metal you were talking about.
It was an option I hope we could explore.
Okay.
Anybody else
But-
have thoughts on the facade?
Well, I agree with you. If the one side is not visible to the public, then it could be metal, but the other sides, I agree. It would look better if the 3 sides were brick.
I think we actually have 2 sides that can't be seen, because one faces the pole barn, and the pole barn on the other side of it is a ravine, and then there's a parking lot.
And that's the 2 sides that you're proposing to have metal?
And then there's a back side that faces the wood line by west side. So I was hoping for a less expensive material on those sides.
Now, when you say brick, you're not referring to veneer, are you?
No, sir.
Okay, actual brick.
Is it considered a veneer?
Well, I'm assuming you're saying 3 sides, but the short side that would be opposite of the road would be visible from the back of the Luder Complex.
Correct.
No, sir, it faces the pole barn.
I don't see a pole barn on here.
Talking about that side.
You're gonna have to orient me a little
Yeah.
bit.
I still think you'd be
I
able to
see
it
there's a
through the
B&P
woods.
pond
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
all of that's pretty thickly wooded back there as well,
behind it or in front of it? Beside it?
behind it and beside it, between there and the school. I need an aerial.
Yes, I prefer the three sides. And we're holding everyone else, and we try to hold everyone to a standard. And any other government agency that come in here, we'll hold them to a standard. Our own local government, I think it's fair to hold town of Smithfield to a standard as well.
Lead by example, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. The other thing here is there is a drain that's coming off the road, off of Main Street. And see, is there a pond, is there a BMP there between the parking lot and Main Street?
There is.
There is.
Yes, sir. So there'll be a BMP there between the parking lot and Main Street, and then the outfall from that BMP will drain onto Main Street, into the drainage system along Main Street.
Jamie, will that BMP typically be dry? Is that your thought process?
It's a dry detention basin, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
We had a lot of conversation on that previously.
Yeah,
with
it is
kids
a
and
dry
water and
detention
whatnot, so-
basin. Yeah, both BMPs, the one in the back and the front, are designed to be dry,
Okay, thank you.
except when it rains.
Right, yes.
Well, a lot of kids there. I mean, there's going to be some sort of fencing or something, restrict access to it. Yes?
Not for the BMPs, no. We've got fencing shown around the maintenance yard and the maintenance building. That'll be gated off. The BMP behind the maintenance facility, no one will be able to get to because it'll be behind the fencing. But the BMP in the front, we're not proposing any fencing around it.
These dry BMPs, we have other ones on the property, and they have vegetation in them, so that usually keeps kids out of it from playing.
Vegetation around them.
Vegetation in it,
In it?
that it's cut
when the water comes
routinely,
up,
yeah, but it usually has some growth on it. It's not attractive to play in,
Well, the more important part is that they're dry.
absolutely.
Any other questions for the applicant? No? Well, thank you. I believe you'll be back up for the next one as well.
That's right.
My only rebuttal to you on the metal side is that this is going to be, if it's a brick building, I think it'd probably be brick and block, but you're going to put a metal back on it. If you're going to do three sides masonry, the masons are out there. It's really not going to cost them that much more to throw brick on a fourth side.
It's going to cost a lot of money. The cost differential between metal and brick is huge.
For the whole building. But
I mean, have you done got cost estimates on the differential?
We did.
Do you have those numbers?
You need to know it.
Jamie, do you have those numbers?
It is. It was to add the brick all the way around it, because of the size of the facility, it was about an extra $100,000.
For all-
I'm not sure of the
for all four
differential.
sides.
Yeah, I'm not sure for the differential if we were to just do 2 or 3, but, I think if you took that
it
and
would be an
extrapolated it.
interesting number to get because they're there, they're working. They're,
Right,
It's hard for
as
them
far
to
as the
come
labor.
back.
Yeah, we contacted a local contractor that builds these facilities and asked them for the differential in the cost, and he gave us a rough estimate, so. We haven't bid this out yet publicly, obviously, so.
Dr. Pope, I do believe we lead by example. I was trying to use a little bit of caution, but if that's something you're with,
Well-
I'll hang with you, man.
I don't know how,
we're gonna
I don't
have
know
to do
how
this
we
again
need
for
to keep
somebody.
getting involved with it, but whether the town council looks at cost, it would be interesting to know the cost of a metal building, a brick building three-sided and a brick building four-sided. Because I bet you're not gonna see a huge difference between three-sided brick and four-sided brick. By the time you put a metal wall up and tie it into the brick and weatherproof it, it's probably gonna be just as easy to throw brick on it than it is to add a metal wall to the back. Now, if the metal building, if you were erecting a metal building and putting a brick veneer on it, that might be different. But if you're gonna build it from the ground up and do it that way, then that just doesn't make any sense to me to do it with a metal back.
Is it an MCU, is it a masonry building? It's not, is it?
No, it's gonna be a steel building.
It's a steel,
but
it's
gonna
not a
have- it'll
masonry
have
building.
brickwork on the,
So it is a brick veneer over top of
Brick veneer, but
over
it's
a
not-
metal building.
It's not gonna be it's not gonna be CMU though.
no, it's not gonna be CMU with brick, it'll be metal with brick.
Okay, so the metal's already there. Okay. So then that's different.
Yeah.
Okay, you just confused me. I asked you, were you using brick veneer? You said no.
Well, there's two, brick veneer can be a veneer like a tile you put on the wall like they did the DMV.
Right,
Half-inch, three-quarter-inch thick.
right,
That's considered a veneer, but a brick that's a full brick stacked is also a
right.
brick veneer.
Miss Amy, would you please?
This is a full brick.
It is full
on a
brick.
Metal building, yes, it's not brick tile.
Okay, okay,
It's just what the backing structure is.
okay. Okay, that's what I thought I heard, full brick.
So if it's a metal building with a narrowly sloped roof, that makes sense.
You know, I'm gonna just remind you that I think you have in the past treated commercial customers the same way though. Didn't you allow, Tractor Supply? Haven't we allowed commercial customers who have signs that cannot be seen, doesn't have to be brick or stone, is that correct? Trying to think on,
With the addition of the new section of Article AA, it was going to be applicable to the entire building, even though it could not be seen.
Yes, with Tractor Supply, the biggest issue was that, that addition for outside storage where there was a drive-through.
well, it's your decision, you made the ordinance, I'm saying that, you know, things cost, and I know that in the past, we've allowed commercial structures to not meet the, for the back, when it can't be seen, you didn't require them to put the same material on the front as they put on the back as they put on the front.
Any further discussion?
Dr. Pope, what are your thoughts now? Before we make a motion, what do you want to do?
I still think we've got to set the standard. You know, for me, I'm fine with the back of it not being brick, but the three sides, I think, need to be brick for me because it's we set the standard. We hold all these people accountable to what they do, and we should be accountable as well, which is why we changed the ordinance when we did. We've asked ourselves, the county, the state, and the federal government to comply when they can, as long as they don't overrule us, but we've asked them to comply with our ECO guidelines.
Okay, so we have 3 pieces to this application, correct? So we're looking for a site plan approval for a brick building. That was the first one. And we're looking for a waiver for the modified handicap parking spaces. And then she has asked for a waiver of the ECO guidelines, right?
And the special use permit.
And the special use permit, okay. So, I would like to make a motion that we approve. No, because we haven't figured out what we're gonna do about the sidewalk from the parking lot to the sidewalk, some sort of safe crossing.
Yes.
Is it possible to get a resolution for that prior to town council?
The site plan amendment, the site plan approval would not go to town council. It would be the proposed use, which is the special use permit item, that would go to town council.
Okay. Mr. Reddick, can you help me with the motion on this, so make sure we get this right? I'm okay with the site plan, assuming that, you know, that we provide a sidewalk to connect to the existing sidewalks and safely get our people across, so they're not walking down the roadway. I'm okay with the maintenance building, provided it has 3 sides of brick on it. And I'm okay with the modified handicap parking.
Don't you make 3 motions?
Okay. All right, I'll do so. My first motion.
Before you do.
Yeah, please.
Instead of saying sidewalk, can you say pedestrian access? Because that
Absolutely.
gives them flexibility.
Yep, absolutely. My first motion is to approve the site plan as presented, provided that there is pedestrian access. Is that what we're going to call it? Is that correct?
If that's acceptable.
To allow for safe passage.
Second.
Are you finished?
Yes, sir. I'm going to do 3 motions.
Second.
You already had a second.
Sorry.
So, to approve the site plan.
That's
That's
the
what your
first,
motion-
that's the first motion. He's gonna have 3, so you need to vote on them one by one. You have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded to approve the site plan subject to suitable pedestrian access.
That's one. That would be the first, okay.
Yes, sir.
You have some questions?
Nope.
Okay. Are you prepared to vote on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the site plan as presented with the addition of a sidewalk or safe passage.
Pedestrian access.
Pedestrian access.
Pedestrian access.
Doesn't have to say sidewalk.
Okay. Pedestrian access. Okay. No further discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hillegas? Yes. And Chairman Bryan?
Yes. Motion has been adopted.
All right, Mr. Chairman, the second motion is to allow, to recommend to town council a waiver that requires for the modified handicap parking space locations.
This is just something that the Planning Commission would approve.
We can approve that? We
Yes,
don't-
it
okay.
does. Yes, sir.
Then I revise the motion to read that approval of the waiver for modified handicap parking space locations.
Second.
Okay. No further discussion? And this is handicap parking?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion. And a second to recommend this application, or this waiver,
Not a recommendation,
Just to approve.
Approval.
just approval.
to approve three-side brick.
No, sir. This is, no, sir.
Handicap.
Handicap
This is
parking.
just a handicap.
Yeah.
This is just a handicap, okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve handicap access waiver for modified handicap parking.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. No further discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes,
Vice Chair Hilligas?
Yes.
And Chairman Bryan?
Yes. The motion to approve the waiver has been adopted.
My final motion on this application, Mr. Chairman, is a planning commission waiver in accordance with Smithfield zoning ordinance 2AA4 for relief from the ECO guidelines that allows for suitable substitute material for the exterior of the sides and rear of the building, where 3 sides would be bricked, and we would allow for the metal building, metal along the tree line and instead of brick. That was a terrible motion, Randy.
Try it again.
Let me see if I clean that up.
may have been terrible, but I understood it.
To grant, the motion is to grant a planning commission waiver from some ECO guidelines. We would require 3 sides of the building to be brick, 1 side to be metal. The metal side would be against the tree line facing West Side Elementary.
Second.
Okay. You have a motion and a second. No further discussion? This motion is to waive ECO guidelines to approve 3 side bricks of this building and a rear side metal. Good?
That's correct.
Call for the vote.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes,
Vice Chair Hilligas?
Yes.
And Chairman Bryan?
Yes.
If I could have one more motion to recommend this to town council, either favorably or unfavorably, for the
Mike.
special use permit.
A favorable recommendation to town council for the special use permit.
Second.
We have a motion to recommend the town council waiver. Is it a waiver? Waiver,
Special use permit.
special use permit.
Special use permit.
To recommend the town council a favorable recommendation on special use permit. This the application as a whole with all the other conditions we've added. Explain your motion again, please.
We have a favorable recommendation to town council to approve the special use permits, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. There's no staff conditions?
No, sir.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to recommend to town council favorably a special use permit. No further discussion. Call for the vote.
Mr. Davidson?
yes,
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hilligas?
Yes.
And Chairman Bryan?
Yes,
Thank you.
motion has been adopted. Now, next on our agenda is item number 10. This is a public hearing, special use permit, application, site plan amendment, interest corridor overlay application, 900 West Main Street, Town of Smithfield, care of Greg Smith applicant. Report, please.
Yes, thank you, sir. The applicant is seeking approval to erect 24.5-foot by 24.5-foot, approximately 600 square foot, two-story concession stand and bathroom. The building will feature a brick veneer coupled with a standing metal seam canopy with wooden struct support brackets and an exterior metal staircase access to the second floor. There will be 3 windows on 3 sides of the building, creating a storefront window with a 12-inch masonry arch and a row-lock brick sill. It will have architectural shingles as well as a cupola on top. The first floor will have concession stands along with 4 handicap-accessible restrooms. The second floor will provide a conference area along with 4 breakout rooms. Article 13 defines public use as the following, as stated previously. Positives of this application is this site plan amendment application will provide the applicant with a slightly larger footprint for the concession stand and will also include 4 additional restrooms. There will also be a conference area above. This proposed use does require an SUP. Town suggests that the recommendation to Town Council is conditioned on the applicant complying with any additional comments from Isle of Wight County in regards to stormwater. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Being a public hearing open, we have no sign-ups, I believe, none. Anyone would like to speak for or against this proposal? You may do so now. Hearing none, public hearing portion of this application is closed. Would the applicant like to, yes, add any additional comments?
We're here to answer any questions that you might have or suggestions for improvements.
You said earlier that this is going to be a split-face block at the bottom.
Yes, sir, I'd like for it to be.
It'll match the existing concession building.
And to be honest with you, I don't know what the roof is on the concession building, but it's a metal roof versus architectural shingle.
It is.
They originally proposed back in the day that it be a metal roof, but I think permutations, it may have changed, but I do not know what's actually built. As many times as I've seen it, I have not paid attention to it.
Google Maps appears to show architectural shingles.
Because I'm
But
fine if
zoomed
you
in on the
match
phone.
their building.
Our plan
Shingles
is,
are on the large building?
It appears that way.
yeah, no,
that's
our
what
plan
I'm-
is to match
Yeah.
that building with this building so that they look
So
similar.
they'll just match.
Right.
Yes, sir.
But I think in their paragraph, it says metal, so I don't know if that needs to be altered.
Yeah, you're right.
How about metal or architectural shingles to match the original structure?
Okay. Kind of covers us.
And can you guys tell me I see the conference room on the second floor is like maybe 300 square feet, and we have that broken with 4 25 square foot rooms.
Are you looking at second floor or first floor?
Second floor.
I think the second floor is just supposed to be one open. The
It
first floor,
is.
the first floor is supposed to have like the concession area, then the restrooms that you get in from the outside.
I see that.
So,
The plans show upstairs 4 rooms, like 4 closets in each corner, 1 closet in each corner. At least in my application, they have it that way.
I don't have a copy of the
Is it because of the
architectural
dormers?
plans.
They're using them as storage?
It may be.
I think it's a roof line issue and it's a head clearance issue.
Yeah.
And so they put in there in order to make sure you don't walk too far under the eave, is what I believe that is.
The staff report was that there are 4 breakout rooms.
They're only 5 by 5, so they're tiny breakout rooms.
That's pretty small.
Maybe isolation rooms.
Timeout rooms.
Escape.
Really doesn't have much to do with our approval tonight.
It does not.
Just something to note.
That would be a issue for Ms. Novak to figure out before they
Yes,
sign
sir.
the contract.
Have we opened and closed the public hearing on this?
Yes.
Okay.
For me, I'm fine
Yeah,
with this. I know it's a needed building and the bathrooms are needed up front.
Yep, agreed.
I just want to clarify that the standing seam was the metal canopy over the windows, and the architectural asphalt shingles are on the roof of the proposed structure. If you look at page 127 on the PDF,
Okay, I see, yes.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
There we go. Let's see what we need to do on this. I would make the motion that we recommend to town council a favorable recommendation for this site plan amendment
No, it's not-
special use permit.
for the special use permit? Okay. A favorable recommendation for the special use permit as presented?
Second,
With staff's recommendations?
Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
always.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. To recommend a favorable recommendation, special use permit to town council with the conditions set forth by town staff and any condition comments from Alawite County in regards to stormwater. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hilligas? Yes. Chairman Bryan?
Yes,
Thank you.
motion's been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
Dan, don't you need approval of
Yep.
the site plan?
That is correct. We still need a motion for the site plan amendment and the ECO overlay review.
And we can approve those
Together.
together at planning commission level. I move that we amend the site plan, we approve the site plan as amended and the ECO overlay.
Second.
Okay. And the overlay. You said overlay?
It's the overlay
sir.
application is for the building.
That we're approving the entrance overlay for the.
Entry card
yes.
overlay. Okay,
We're approving the building as presented.
okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. To approve the site plan as amended for the entrance card overlay. Okay,
Yes, sir.
no further discussion. Call for the vote.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hilligas? Yes. And Chairman Bryan?
Yes,
Thank you.
motion adopted. And there is one more?
Number 7, skipped.
No, I mean concerning this applicant. This applicant's complete.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
all.
Thanks.
Okay. Now, the next item is item number 7. And this is a discussion item. This is a text amendment, cottages at Battery. 21A, tag 01, tag 511. Development, Logistics, and Consulting, care of Nathan Dial and Brian Mullins, applicants. Could we have the report, please?
Yes, thank you, sir. The applicants are seeking input and discussion on a proposed text amendment to the attached residential zoning district. The applicants would like to construct 130 condominium units at T-Pen 21A01511. These units would have 0 lot line dwellings and units with attached rear detached garages. Each lot would be approximately 34 feet by 91 feet and approximately 3,094 square feet, featuring a 12-foot front yard setback. In order to have a mechanism to bring this application for review and decision, the applicants are proposing a text amendment to Article 3EI 10A1, which addresses condominiums, and this text amendment would state all AR district provisions shall be met as if lot lines existed unless approved by special use permit. Item 2 would be repealed. This would allow the applicants the ability to apply for a rezoning of the property to AR and seek potential approval for their proposed project. According to the definition of dwelling, single-family attached, it does include 0 lot line dwellings. Currently, the zoning ordinance treats condominiums as the same as attached residential dwellings in regard to setbacks, density, and yard requirements. This proposed text amendment would allow the applicant to apply for a special use permit to allow their proposed development. They would still be required to rezone the property, request a change to the future land use map, and request any additional SUPs or waivers that might be required. Staff have identified that this project at the very least will require the following: an SUP to exceed maximum density, an SUP for smaller lot width, an SUP for waiver of parking and loading as to not provide RV parking, a planning commission waiver for open space non-contiguous, a rezoning to attached residential, and a future land use map amendment. This property was previously rezoned to multifamily residential, and this would allow for 15 10-plex buildings at 150 units. The positives is this text amendment would provide the applicants with a mechanism for their proposed project. Negatives, the current zoning ordinance does not have a mechanism for this project to move forward. The applicants are proposing this text amendment to allow them to submit applications for the proposed 130 0-lot 9 condominium units. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, this not being a public hearing, this is a discussion item. Is there anything that the applicants would like to add?
Good evening. I'm Brian Mullins. I live at 4953 Exeter Drive in Suffolk, Virginia.
Nathan Deal. I live at 525 Sunpine Road in Chesapeake.
We've been looking at this property and doing due diligence for the last 4 months. We've spoken with several people in the city, as well as reviewed the questions that have been raised on prior applications. We are looking at reducing the density 14% more or less, but we're also looking at going into a 4-sided condo so that the individual has an individual home. When you look at the product that we're bringing, it does work very well with the Smithfield town-centered look. It has lots of options, as you can see on there, from the architectural with stone, along with board and bat. We do want to put a detached garage on there because the previous application had only street parking, and ours would not. We do have a 27-foot wide road, which will allow, that's larger, and it will allow for parking on one side and still allow for all the fire, police, and EMCs. Outside of putting in the architectural requirements that you all were looking for, we're looking for input as to what you all would be looking for, and that's how we got to where we are. We started with looking at the 150 townhouses that would go into this, and we were at once asked us to look at something else. We've sat down with the builders. We've come up with this plan, and this plan does create more of a neighborhood as opposed to just a townhouse. The lots are long, and so you will have ability to put more than one car, and it is a car-and-a-half garage on the back sides.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mullins?
Yes, sir.
Is there an example of a neighborhood similar to this anywhere close by?
Yes, sir. I've been developing since '84, and the one that's closest to this is one that we just finished up, which is the Landings. It's next to Decoy's Seafood. They're off of Route 17 and Knott's Neck, and there are 23. Again, we go back to this is a condominium as well. We started doing this 20 years ago. In Governor's Point, we started putting in condos that were single-family homes. And we found that this product works real well, especially in this area where we have the military and folks buy them, they get deployed. Having the condo on the outside overlay allows us to maintain the exteriors of the homes to the same state that they were when we first purchased them. And we have been keeping all of ours up. The Landings is also a condominium project. So we do have a HOA that maintenances, cuts the grass, changes the mulch twice a year, repairs roofs, paints them every 5 years. So it is a product that is well maintained. The price points on these are also going to start in the $350 area and work up. Today's market, I know that the original application was looking for 190s. And there would be only on-street parking with that. And then they had an RV parking as well. We've discouraged that for many years in our subdivisions, and we would request the same on an SUP here.
Planning Commission comments, questions?
You said on-street parking?
Excuse me, sir?
You said on-street parking?
There will be allowed one side of on-street park for visitors as such, but we do have long driveways and one car or 1.5 car garage on each of them.
Without an RV, would they be able to park a boat or an RV in their long driveway towards the back of their property? or-
The same width is the same, yes, sir.
But you're saying you would or would not allow that?
If it's left up to myself, I would not allow RVs in there.
I know this
That
is
has
a
been
very-
something we've done for decades.
Very rough overview on the site plan here, or development plan. Are the sidewalks in front of these structures and things of that nature?
We have a sidewalk that connects the front of the house to the driveway. It comes in and does an L. There is very little room otherwise, and so
Is there public for us to walk up and down the street, or residents walk up and down the street?
we
or
actually
office
have
service?
we were encouraged, and we did incorporate a walking trail that starts, I guess, where the DMV is and works all the way around on the left side next to the BMP and then comes back around to the villas so that it makes a continuous walk.
We were also proposing a walking trail. I do not know the name of the road at the back of the property, but we were asked to look at incorporating that as well. So we have a walking trail
I
that
think it's
connects that.
Colonial. I believe you're talking about Colonial.
Yes, sir. It connects that along the BMP up to Battery Park Road.
And as far as the entrances on this, we would still be sharing the same entrance as it currently is there. That entrance actually is in the middle of this property that goes over to Royal Farms. And that would have to be incorporated into the street into the street grids that we have so that we can maintain that entrance to Royal Farms.
One thing for us to remember on Planning Commission today is that we are not giving permission for this plan to move forward. We're not giving him saying that, yes, your plan's approved. What he's asking for and what we're tasked with today is modifying our text so that he could apply for what he has proposed here. That's all that we're looking for, to allow Mr. Mullins and his group to apply for this. We're not giving any type of approval or recommendation or otherwise. His site plans and his designs are an idea for us that, hey, if we gave this, this is a very similar to what he would bring back to us, because right now he does not have the ability with our current zoning ordinances to apply for it.
There's a special use permits. There are 3 on there, and the rezoning to AR.
But we're not looking at any rezoning tonight. We're not looking at anything. All we're looking at tonight is to make a change to the text amendment for our attached residential zoning district.
So, Ms. Clary, the list of things that you identified, excuse me, would that be required under our current text, or would that be required with the text changes that we're contemplating?
Sorry.
My understanding, Ms. Hilligas, is that with the text changes, they would still have these
We'd still need the
6
three
bullet
SUPs and the
points here.
waiver and the rezone and the Plum Amendment.
Yeah, and we would have to look at each of those individually. Right now, he can't apply for anything.
Okay. So it's still going to be a uphill battle, a lot of things.
So we don't modify the text, then they just don't move forward, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Right.
And Dr. Pope, you had a question about the sidewalks in front of in front of the homes, right?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if it's going to be road and sidewalk, or just sidewalks to the house itself.
It'd be sidewalks from the driveway to the house. Now, keep in mind, the houses only sit
12 feet
12
behind the
feet.
road.
You also have a
So
5-foot.
no.
So no
Sidewalk, like linear sidewalk like
No, ma'am.
this.
Okay.
like-
Now, we're here for discussion, and we got to this point through having these discussions. And so we're open to suggestions.
That would be something that, I can't speak for Dr. Pope, but I would prefer to see a linear sidewalk, like more traditional sidewalk out in front that connected everything.
I agree with you.
I know that's a lot more impervious surface, and this whole project is a lot more impervious surface than what we've looked at with prior proposals, and that concerns me a great deal. But your elevations are nice, your product looks nice, and that's encouraging.
Thank you. As far as the sidewalk is concerned, what we're speaking of is we're coming down from the front door and turning to the driveway. We could certainly just come straight and have it run into the sidewalk that runs parallel with the roads. That's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, but I see your idea from a consumer standpoint, you know, getting from the car to the house. I like that idea too. You know, potato.
How do you, if you don't have sidewalks, how do people get to the clubhouse and to their neighbors?
Right,
They have to walk in the street.
yeah. Yeah. I think a continuous sidewalk would help a lot of safety issues and just encourage more pedestrian activity within the development and, you know, this whole thing that we're trying to encourage in terms of walkable communities and just create some more connectivity within that corridor. I think that would be important.
We can do that.
I know that this doesn't have anything to do with what we're discussing tonight, but can you tell me approximately what density per acre you're talking about?
It's 9.
Some of,
It's pretty close to 10, right?
It's 9.3, yes.
Okay. Well, just my own opinion, I've never been in favor of zero lot lines, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight either. I've lived in them, and anyway, it's just my opinion.
Well, with Councilman Pegg and Attorney Riddick, their point is, how much can we discuss tonight about this application?
you can talk about anything you want to.
Anything we want to?
It's just a
Traffic,
discussion.
all this other stuff.
Well, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse if you start, I mean,
They haven't really applied for
they
it.
haven't applied for anything. He's just trying to get some feedback about
Yeah.
whether you want to make it possible for him to even file an application for this. Now, just because you make the change to the text doesn't mean that you're going to approve his project, but if you don't make the change to the text, he won't apply because he can't apply.
Right.
Okay.
But I think any discussion gets a potentially better product.
Well,
project.
And that's where I was going.
And he's here, and he has mentioned 2 or 3 times that he's open
He's
to ideas. He didn't say
Open
he'd
to
take every idea.
And willing to do things. And-
But he's certainly willing to listen, and having somebody willing to listen to your concept, and we need to tell
Yeah.
them what we want to see. So
Yeah.
if we want sidewalks, we need to say, hey, we'd really like to see sidewalks, so that
Yeah.
when we get a plan back, if we get to that we have sidewalks.
And I forgot to say, Mr. Chairman, thank you for indulging me in holding this item until I was able to get here, and I'm sorry to make you all wait, but I appreciate you.
Now, in response to the traffic that you were mentioning, we did, there was obviously a TIA that was done on the original, and we're reducing that by 14%. Yes, ma'am. We still would have to produce another TIA.
Okay.
Bigger question for you, Ms. Clary. Because this is a condominium, therefore it goes to the attached residential zoning, even though these are not attached?
So the definition of dwelling, single-family attached includes zero lot line dwellings, which is why we're classifying it as attached residential. Condominiums, the regulations for condominiums are located in the attached residential and the multifamily residential zoning districts.
Because my question is, and you've answered it, I think, but why would this not be a suburban residential or a cluster residential because they're individual units?
But they're not gonna own individual lots. They're just gonna own the unit.
Okay, so therefore it keeps it as attached, even though that's not
They can't,
a good descriptive term.
correct, because these are not lots. They're gonna be condominium form of ownership, and I think Mr. Mullins explained, they're gonna maintain everything. They cut the grass, they take, just as if it were an attached condominium, they're gonna maintain everything. The difference is that one side of the house is on a zero lot line, but they're staggered so that they have individual lots. They're not really lots, but they're, for practical purposes, people treat them as their own lot.
But zero lot line means their roof overhang has to be conformed within the lot, not the foundation. Because if you have a 18-inch overhang on your roof line, does that have to be in line?
There
with
is no lot lines. So the overhang would not matter either way. One thing to notice on a zero lot line too, where the houses are constructed, the next to them is driveways. So they would still be separated by the driveways on each one of the units. There would be no units that are that close to each other.
So basically, the only thing the homeowner, condo owner, could change would be a backyard addition.
It does create a backyard by doing the detached garages, yes, sir. Though it is technically not a backyard, it is an open space.
Would they allow fencing in the back?
No, sir.
And also, our attached residential is 8 units per acre, and he said 9.3. Just so you know, for reference, what the ordinance is.
Yeah.
We need an SUP on that too.
Is that why?
Though we
Because
still
of
are
maximum-
reducing the current approval.
Is that because that's the maximum density?
Yeah.
So what they are proposing as a text amendment would allow them to obtain special use permit items for any way that this proposed condominium does not comply with attached residential. We do not have specific yard setbacks, density requirements for condominium units. We defer it back to the attached residential requirements. This proposed text amendment would allow you to craft a condominium with certain special use permits.
And according to our ordinance, multifamily residential will be 12 units per acre.
I believe
That's what's in here, yes, I'm reading it, conventional. Because it's currently zoned multifamily residential. Okay. I'm just trying to get density in my head.
To
It's under the density that it is now approved, but by us going into an detached condo.
The only other feedback I'll give you is I won't say we beat up the DMV, but we certainly asked DMV to landscape the back of their building for any future development over here. Part of is going to back up to the DMV. That's going to be adequately landscaped, I think, for purposes of what the DMV. I would ask that you duplicate that down the road, coming behind Dollar General and behind whatever structures end up there.
You can certainly
As a
screen that.
landscaping plan
Yes, sir.
to sort of mimic what's going on with the DMV, at least in that one location, to have consistency going down that road.
And we do that a lot with condos as well. We'll do staggered trees with bushes, staggered in the back on 5-foot separation, 3-foot staggers.
I'd like to see consistency with whatever the DMV is doing there.
We can definitely do that.
Dr. Pope, just doing Quick math here. The current zoning is multifamily, which allows for 12, and we have 13.56 acres, so 150 units on 13.56 is currently zoned at 11 units per acre. That's what they could build, but we've already passed. So his reduction to 9.3, but then that exceeds the 8 on the condo, so, yeah.
The concerns that they had with the stormwater management, Mr. Covington had brought up,
Yes, sir.
this would, if this is all accounted for already.
Yes, sir, it
Is that
is.
not correct, based on 150 units that were previously done? I mean, stormwater was managed on that, it was approved on that, the DMV was approved on that. This really shouldn't change your stormwater management plan.
No,
Is
sir,
that
it won't.
correct?
Actually, there's an agreement in place in which this parcel is allotted 48% of that BMP, and we do stay within that.
I would like to note that the reports on that BMP note that the BMP was overbuilt in its existing condition, and the impervious that we're proposing with this is well under what was allotted for it. So it's a conservative approach, if you would.
But wasn't that BMP built way before some of the changes to the stormwater regs, and isn't compliance more stringent now?
Yes, ma'am. For new construction, this project fits under the grandfathering clause currently.
New regulations come out July 1st of 2024.
New projects for the last 5 years have had to been designed to the new regs. But with this having been master planned is what allows it to be grandfathered.
The impervious surfaces, you say you're under it, as was approved for the BMPs that's not there currently. Do you know what percentage that is, impervious?
I do not, I'm sorry.
It says the total impervious 9.1 acres.
When we get to site plan review for this project, it would be sent to Isle of Wight County, to their stormwater division for their review and comment. We would need their approval before we could move forward.
We also have added extra capacity if needed at the front entrance. If you'll notice, we have 2 ponds at the very front entrance to be used for fountains. That can pick up some additional over cheap flow if we need to. We can even grab that from Battery Park.
The question before us tonight is twofold, and the first part is, do we want to amend our text to allow for these guys to come with a plan? If the answer to that is yes, the second part is, what else would we like to ask Mr. Mullins and his team to see on this plan that would make it more appealable to this commission? Not saying we're approving anything, but if we were, we'd like to see A, B, or C. I mean, that's kind of boiling it down. So I guess the first question to us is, are we willing to make a text amendment to allow for this project to move forward? And by move forward, I mean at least come to us for review.
I guess for me, that comes down to, would you rather see individual condo units like this versus would you rather see a multifamily dwelling unit like they had proposed before? So it comes down to, do you want a multifamily, multi-unit, one building bigger, multi-unit, versus do you like the concept of individual units? To me, I mean, that's the first question to ask yourself. Yes, they're smaller lots, yes, they're dense, but would you rather see individual units or would you rather see a multifamily complex? I guess that's the first question to answer, is how do you view this?
I was never in favor of the original one. I thought it was just not done well. We've discussed whether there was enough room for fire trucks to turn around, the school bus situation, we discussed all this before. I agree, it was passed and that's fine, but I was never for it.
I would like to note that the layout does accommodate the fire trucks, the 27 feet wide and the radii at the intersections is large enough to accommodate fire trucks.
I was really just addressing Dr. Pope's situation is what we would rather see. Of course, I would rather see individual pieces of property as opposed to multifamily residential. I am not a big fan of multifamily residential. I wasn't where it was already approved, and I'm still not.
But I'm thinking, wouldn't it be prudent that we discuss all of our concerns before we do this text amendment? I would think it'd be fair to the applicant to know more or less what we're thinking about other aspects of this application.
I really think Dr. Pope kind of laid it out. You know, what is your preference to start with? If your preference is individuals, then for individual units, then we leave the text as it is, and
Individual units would require the text to be changed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I would
But-
prefer the individual units.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it's just another option. That's what you're really voting on, is another option for development, a different type of development. That's all you're really voting on. When you're not voting on it yet, but if you suggest that it's appropriate to make that change, that's what you would be considering, is whether or not another development option is worth considering. He's still got to make his case that what he's proposing is something that is appropriate for the town of Smithfield and you like it. Now, he said he's looking to hear from you, but I don't think now's the time to get into traffic and lots of things like that, because you don't have any data to work from. None. All you got is a rudimentary design.
Yes, but the visual of that is, we approve this text, the public could perceive that we might approve anything else in this application going forward.
You need to state unequivocally that's not the case. And just because you change your ordinance doesn't mean you're gonna approve something. That's not the case.
I understand that.
Well, you have to say
They've
I'm gonna be
already misunderstood that in the past. We can't make decisions based on what they may or may not understand.
But
I think this
we
gives,
owe the public an explanation. We owe them our opinion as to what we see possibly happening with this application.
well,
I think we owe them that.
well, not
It's
necessarily
for
with this
transparency. I
application,
think
but
we owe them
with the
that.
text amendment, I think, as Mr. Riddick said, if we amend the text, it gives an opportunity for other options, other project options for development in the town. And that would be the reason that we would consider a text amendment like this.
Since there is no application, we really can't discuss an application.
Understood. But Dr. Pope has brought up sidewalks. Was that you brought up sidewalks? You want sidewalks in there?
We talked
Okay.
about sidewalks.
And some, you brought up, you want landscaping to match what's behind DMV. Okay. And what was something else that was mentioned?
Well, Mr. Bryan, this is somewhat like a pre-application hearing. So we have a developer before us that says, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking about. What would you guys like to see on this? And that's where these things would come. And then he could go back to the drawing board and decide what makes sense for him or what he wants to bring towards us. And then
And that's
when
where
we get an
I think we should
application.
continue down that path.
Well, we cannot continue down that path if we decide we're not going to approve this text amendment.
Because
We'll be putting the
currently,
cart before the
Okay,
horse.
then let me put it this way. If we approve this text amendment, do we still continue the discussion about this application?
I would say we do.
Yeah.
Well, you're not approving one. The only action you can take is you can tell staff that you can direct staff to bring you a text amendment at a public hearing for, it has to go through that whole process. You can't do it tonight.
but he is asking us, in my understanding, for aesthetic details to his development that would enhance his application.
Yes.
But
It's
we
as if
can't,
we're
but we
having
can't
a-
talk about traffic because we don't really know what traffic's doing other than our previous traffic impact study we can remember from 6, 8 years ago. But he's got less development, less density, so therefore he should have less traffic,
Okay.
in theory. We'll see if that holds out.
But not
Okay.
law.
But he's
But
gonna,
but
if he
it's-
submits his application, he's gonna have to produce the data.
But it's premature to talk about traffic and that.
So
But it looks like
we-
on his plan, he's using the original entrances and exits that were proposed, so I'm assuming VDOT would be okay with those types of things. Those have already been approved for ingress and egress. He's really not changing any of those details on this plan, it looks like, and so really aren't changing. He could today acquire this land and put 15 tenplexes on it, and we can't do a thing about it.
That's true.
So my question is do we want, if we have said we're not in favor of multifamily residential types of structures, do we want that, or are we happy with individual units? Are we happy with, 34 by 80 lots or whatever they are?
91, yes.
So are you happy with small lot sizes? Are we happy with this type of plan? Obviously, he's trying to get to 150 because that's sort of where we said we allow density, but he's trying to maximize it. But are we happy with 130 units, 31 units? So we have to decide that in our mind before we're going to say, yeah, we would entertain a text amendment change to consider it.
So
That
I
would be
would,
appreciated.
I would say this. This plan is better than the last plan, in my opinion.
Yes.
Okay? And I would like to see Mr. Mullins continue to work with this plan and bring it to us for consideration. It's less units, it fits more with the character of Smithfield, and it gets rid of the multifamily that we weren't particularly thrilled with to start off with. Those are 3 reasons that it's a better plan for it. That does not mean that we will approve Mr. Mullins' plan. Does not mean that we're giving any approval to it this evening. But it is an option, and it is a better option that I think we should consider.
And his renderings seem to match that colonial type stuff, which is, again, what we've sort of adopted for that region, as somebody had mentioned earlier through the DMV and all those options. But, so, I mean, a lot of that stuff is, again, he has to decide what he wants to build there, but at least what he's offering is at least somewhat nice.
And so tonight, Mr. Mullen knows some of what our expectations are.
Yes, sir.
So now it gives you an opportunity to go back to the drawing board.
But I think there are more expectations. That's what I'm getting at.
So, but he has a basic understanding until we get an actual package. You know, there's like Ms. Hildegrass said, there's a lot of hurdles here. There's a lot of SUPs that he's requesting, right? But we have to give him an opportunity.
But wouldn't the applicant like to know where we stand on these things tonight? To
But-
give him
Let's
something
let's
to
do one
work
thing at
with?
a time. Let's do one thing at a time. I think I get the consensus that we would like to see this plan come to us as an application. Is that correct? I mean, is that our general feeling? Because if we would, according to Ms. Riddick, we would then direct staff to go back and bring us the proper text amendments to go through the public hearing to make these amendments so that Mr. Mullins and his group could go forward. If so, the proper thing to do would be to make, well, not to make a motion, but we to direct Tammy and her staff to bring us the proper text amendments and go through the proper channels to amend our text for the zoning ordinance. I mean, is that what we would like to do? That's my question to you guys.
But we do not approve that text change tonight.
No, you
Correct.
can't.
Okay.
It has to be a public hearing.
Gotta have a public
Okay.
It's
hearing.
not an application.
But then,
We're just talking.
yes, you mentioned sidewalks. You want
One
some
thing at a time,
yeah,
one thing at a time. We can get into the site plan review, but the first thing we have to do is decide if we're gonna move forward with it. And if we're gonna move forward with it, we need to direct staff to bring us these changes.
If you're not, you don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, if we're not, then we're done.
But this text amendment change is going in the ordinance for attached residential to allow for 0 lot lines and other types of text amendment changes that would then be future for every developer.
Correct.
That is
Understood.
correct.
But repeat what you said,
If,
sir.
Mr. Chairman, if you decide, if collectively you decide there's not gonna be a text amendment, you don't have to talk about this anymore, not at all.
It's true.
Because you told him you can't bring an application, so there's no point in having a discussion about sidewalks or open space or anything, because you've precluded him from filing his application. So there's one question. Do you want staff to bring you a text amendment that would permit his application? It's not a guarantee that he's gonna be approved, it would just allow him to file an application. That's the only question that you have to consider, that's the first question you have to consider. And if the answer is no, we can approve the minutes and go home.
I think it's important to note also that the way that the text amendment is written, it does not guarantee any future development like this. It would still have to be approved by you guys.
Well, all of them, that applies to
Yes.
every development.
Yes. Okay. I'm concerned what we give our citizens publicly, our positions, what we give our citizens. That's what I'm concerned with. Okay.
Well, what Randy's saying is, should we direct Tammy to bring us the text amendment and go from there? There's really,
And we may get a public response in public hearing that,
Exactly, that's when they're gonna come in and say, yes, we think that's a good idea.
Right.
No, we don't.
Exactly.
we may get some backlash. And so it still may not happen, just
Gonna get
because
backlash.
I get it.
we get
I get it.
draft text doesn't mean it's a done deal.
But our current ordinance for attached residential does not allow for individual units such as this as its current state.
Correct.
that's right.
Yes. And so in order for any of us to entertain this because that's what I got confused about when I sent an email to Ms. Clary is why is this attached residential? It's not attached. I get it now, but this doesn't exist. We're trying to create an avenue for any developer to do this. So this makes sense if it's going to fall under the attached residential to allow other creative development.
Correct.
So that makes sense to me now. I kept trying to figure out why is this not a suburban residential type product?
Because your ordinance defines it that way, because of the zero lot line,
Gotcha.
because of the density, you deemed it to be attached.
Right,
Even though
because
it's
if we leave our attached residential as it is, then we've got to have at least a duplex, period. That's,
Correct.
so we don't have a way to allow for individual single units. So yes, it makes sense to me to create a text unit, whether they're standing here or not, knowing our shortfall of our ordinance, of not understanding why that really exists.
I understand that. But you wanted the sidewalk, someone wanted landscaping. There's something I want.
Okay, well,
We'll-
let's get to
we can
that.
do Yeah.
But let's go ahead and direct staff. Well, we don't even make a motion, we direct staff to bring us proper text amendment so that we can make the changes.
Let's do
I
that.
would like to see that myself.
Okay.
I would like to see that myself.
It
Very good.
seems like it's unanimous, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman.
Do
You
we
want to
need a
move that
motion?
forward?
Do we need a motion?
There's no motion when you direct staff, no, sir.
Okay.
Okay, now, to Mr. Mullins, what would you like to see, Mr. Bryan?
Traffic.
We don't have any traffic
Yeah.
numbers.
But he's using what was already approved for the previous development.
No,
But
he's
you
not.
don't know that yet. He hadn't found his application.
Know that yet.
He's
You don't have
using
an
the road, he's using the road. Didn't you say you're using the road layout that's approved?
Yes, sir. The entrances are already in.
The entrances are already approved.
The acceleration and deceleration are as well.
But you
Okay.
don't have current traffic data. And you won't have current traffic data unless he files an application.
Since we don't have an application, we really.
You don't have trips in
have
and trips
anything.
out because you don't have a formal application
This
yet.
should be visually what we want to see. What we would
However,
like to be
if he
the next-
uses the current entrance and exit routes, VDOT is probably going to look upon that favorably, which would save him a headache in the future.
Yes, sir.
We have the cart.
That's all he's trying to do.
We have the cart, we're just waiting on the horse, so.
Well, looking at the traffic layout that was approved previously for this acreage, it's very difficult for the residents to get in and out, particularly Church Street. If you use that road between Royal Farm and Dollar General, there's gonna be, I think they call it a pancake or something. You can only make a right turn on Church Street.
It's pork chop.
Pork chop, that's what it is.
Of course it's a pork chop, it's Smithfield.
That's right.
You can only make a right turn on Church Street. You can't make left from that exit, from that road. You cannot do it.
Actually, the road that they have proposed is the one that goes between Dollar General and Royal Farms, and you can make a right or left-hand turn out of that. DMV access road will be the pork chop where you can only make a right.
That would be
right in, right
DMV.
out. Yes, sir. But that's not the road they're showing. In fact, they don't even have the continuation of the road up through DMV and the back of their parking lot, because likely when they did this, DMV's plans were yet to be approved.
But we'll know that when we get an official application.
Yeah, but we know how difficult it is to make a left turn out of there now on Church Street. And how would you make a left turn on the Battery Park?
But how does that change if he builds
Very
150
carefully.
units multifamily residential?
Well-
It doesn't change.
Well, I have a suggestion.
Already been approved.
The sidewalk that you mentioned to connect to Colonial Street, why not a road?
It's a possibility. It's,
We could just widen the road.
Okay,
I mean, it's going to be a walkway or a passageway either way.
okay.
And again, starting off at the beginning, when we looked at this, it was because it was approved. And it already had more than the units that we can even envision coming into this. We've set aside lands for the open space, for the parks. We've even got a tot lot proposed in a separate area that you can see on that left-hand side. And we have pedestrian walkways that connect the parcels to the sidewalks that we have currently. Having discussed this several times and was encouraged to look at a different product, we ended up doing that. And to be honest with you, we like this product much better. This product will probably be used in more areas in Tidewater where we develop, and we develop in North Carolina and Virginia. So this product is really a good product because it gives you that town feeling.
Yes, I
that
have
you
no problem with the product. I'm just thinking about the other issues surrounding.
Yes, sir. And that's why the
That
discussion
development.
is here, and we thank you very much for having that discussion, to be honest with you.
But one of the problems with connecting Colonial to his development is the only exit out of Colonial is
Is
Smithfield
Smithfield
Boulevard.
Boulevard.
That means everybody who lives in that neighborhood is going to come through his neighborhood with increased traffic on a road system that's not designed to handle all that residential traffic. That would be highly unfair.
But it would give the
to this
residents
development.
another option, traffic-wise, it would give them another option.
that is public right-of-way and on-site are private streets, to your point.
Yes, right.
But
Kind of.
one of the things I'd like to see there is not a car access, but a pedestrian/golf cart access for any future development of the bike trail and access for pedestrian walkway, assuming that's going to be less annoying to them than, and they may not even want all that traffic through it in the sense of that.
Did
But
you-
it would be nice to have an interconnected neighborhood that allows connectivity with walkmanship and whatever we approved on that comprehensive plan and those key words, but that would allow this to attach for pedestrians and golf carts. I don't know if golf carts is part of this plan, but vehicular traffic, I think, would be a nightmare for anybody living in those condos in that area. Because to me, if you're gonna go Battery Park Road and you wanna get out, go to Newport News, and you wanna go down Battery Park, everybody, Smithfield Boulevard is gonna come down this way, not go out onto Church Street.
Mr. Deal also made the point that these roads are private roads inside here, kind of like the villas, so they are not state or town maintained. They'd be maintained by the condo association, so it'd be
Yes,
driving across
I don't
private
think
property.
I don't think making a vehicular connection there would be a viable option.
But we are proposing a walking path connection there,
Make it large enough for golf carts.
if that's what's wanted.
Sure.
Well, I'm just trying to think, hopefully one day Smithfield will get approved for golf cart traffic. on the roadways to
We
celebrate.
we are wherever the speed limit is 25 miles an hour or
25
less.
miles, right.
Townwide.
And that's the same thing we have at the landings. We got the speed limit lowered to 25, so we could do golf carts down
For
through there.
me, golf carts coming through there would be more acceptable because you keep them off of Church Street.
Yeah.
If it were,
Yeah.
if state laws were changed to whatever.
Ms. Clary, one of the special use permits you identified, the potential would be for smaller lot width. And I'm trying to understand that because if this is a condo association, there's not really lots here at all, right?
Yeah, but it says, look at the allowed amendment, it says, all AR district provisions shall be met as if lot lines existed. That's your text amendment. You have
Okay.
to apply those,
Okay.
there are no lot lines.
That's-
But
that-
as far
yep.
as the dimensions are concerned, you have to comply.
Okay. That's why good explanation, thank you.
Should there be a distance between buildings then, if they're single structures?
That's the point of the zero line, lot line.
Well, we can have a zero lot line, but we still may say buildings have to be 15 feet apart minimum, or 12 feet apart, or.
Yes.
And you could do that in any SUP
17 plus 1.
as well.
17, 34.
Right, yeah, 17.
There's 17 feet between buildings.
Currently, but yeah, we're looking at it overall, to say, would that make sense to have some sort of distance? Because if there's no lot, you still have to define how close you're gonna allow them. Because they could be 3 foot apart or whatever whatever is proposed.
So, yeah.
Because if he didn't have a driveway
Right.
beside it, he could
Yep,
stretch the house to be whatever he wanted it to be.
If you did on-street parking, you'd get more homes too.
But you can't because you have to meet the standards as if there were lot lines. So they can't you can't have zero lot lines with two houses smashed up against each other. You can't do that. That's a
That's
duplex.
That's a duplex,
That's a
that's right.
duplex,
Well,
and he
then not
doesn't
that
want to
they're
build a
touching.
duplex, huh?
Not if they're touching, but if they're 3 feet apart, not touching, then
And I've lived in a situation where you could actually shake hands with the guy next door.
I believe fire code requires a 10-foot separation
Still have
between
to have-
buildings.
you-
we could set that. I mean, that could be one of the conditions of the SUP.
That's fire retardant materials.
I understand for his SUP, but I want to make sure it's for every SUP in the future. So if somebody else takes the ordinance and says, hey, I want to run with this too, then they should know we are looking for X number of feet between structures, whatever fire code is.
You're talking
or-
about adding to the text amendment.
Correct.
Okay.
To understand how, what we're going to say is, I'm not a fan of that because we held Cypress Creek to 18 feet.
SUP is only for the
On theirs, and so
property.
whatever
Doesn't
number,
extend.
magic number fits in your mind is what we discuss. Or think about with the text amendment as it comes out.
Okay, but if we're getting a SUP for this, it would be for that site.
Correct, for yours.
Right,
Correct.
so that somebody else would have to get an SUP similar to that to duplicate that.
I get you, but I want to make sure we set a standard so when somebody comes in, they're not going to try for 5 and we're going to tell them you need to be 25. We want to say, hey, minimum is 18 feet or 17 feet if you're applying for 17 feet. But I think there should be.
The fire code
something
does
that
require
delineates
10
the
feet.
density or how close things can be together because these are individual units.
And the landscaping along Battery Park, the garages are backed up to the property line there. What do you do?
There'd be heavy screening on that as
There'd be
well.
screening, fences
No, sir, no fences. It can all be done with shrubberies, landscape.
with landscaping?
Yes, sir. We've done this several times on staggards.
Okay, all right.
We-
Anything else?
We normally do a Leland cypress on the backside and stagger with wax myrtles in the front. If you know both of those, they're hedge.
Okay.
My
My concern was just not to see the garages from the road. That's an ECO, and I just,
That's why we
I wanna
put
see
the
that from the road.
fountains in there as well. We know we have to have presence from the road to get them in there.
okay, okay. No, just looking at the drawing, it just looked pretty,
Yes, sir. We have no landscaping called out
Pretty
at this
narrow
point.
there.
This was just for a plan.
okay.
There's a 10-foot landscaping buffer directly to the rear of those garages as well.
Okay.
Between that and the walking path?
Yes, sir.
But if I'm reading our ordinance correctly, in here, it says that if you have a duplex, so 2 units attached, the minimum side yard setback abutting any adjacent lot line is 12 feet. So if you put 2 duplex houses next to each other, it would need to be 12 foot for one and 12 foot for the other, so that would effectively be 24 foot apart. If they were 2 structures, I mean, a duplex, triplex, whatever plex. That's, if I'm reading this correctly, because they give all of the parameters for front yard, side yard, public this, public that, but it says side yard, 25 feet for any public right-of-way, 16 feet for any side yard butting a private travelway or parking bay, or 12 feet for any side yard butting adjacent lot line. So if we had a duplex here, it would be 12 feet side yard setback.
On each side.
Yeah, 12 foot between the building to the lot line.
But 12 feet between one duplex and the next duplex.
Not 12 feet each one. Okay, so it's still 12 foot
Yes,
minimum.
he's exceeding what that would be.
I'm past that. I'm trying to set this text amendment for the future of what we're gonna allow. So if we're gonna allow 12 feet, because that's what it is in the duplex, then it's 12 foot versus 18 versus 15 versus whatever.
You're trying to pick a number
I'm trying to pick a number.
Yeah.
For the text amendment.
for the text amendment.
Yeah, I'm convoluting this.
Un-
We're talking
unbeknownst
about
to this
what
point.
we like and what we don't like and what the text amendment's gonna ultimately say.
Anything less than 10 foot would have to have fire retardant materials built.
Okay. Any further discussion?
The only other issue with this development too was what we talked about with the previous one, as Mr. Davidson alluded to, was school bus pickup. I believe Alawite County had said that they only want to run the bus in the development, pick up children from one spot. So something would need to allow children to congregate and/or have something, even for inclement weather or some sort of contingency plan for something of that nature.
We could do something with the clubhouse.
Certainly look at incorporating that. It's better than sending them on the road, picking them up. I know that's what they,
Well, I think they preferred a congregating spot so they
Yes.
could run in, make one pickup and not try to figure out how to pull the bus through the neighborhood.
Definitely.
Any further questions, comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
thank you.
Planning Commission, what do you want to do?
We don't have anything to do.
You don't have anything
Nothing
to
to
do.
do.
We've directed staff
Looking for
to,
the
for the
text
text amendment, and we've discussed with the developer some of our initial thoughts in his pre-application piece.
Okay. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You want to incorporate the text into the ordinance? That's what we recommend. That's what we recommend.
We did.
Okay. All right. And once that's done, you come back here, we look at it, and then we have a public hearing.
We'll bring it next month as a public hearing item.
Okay. Okay. No further discussion. Item number 11, approval of Thursday, October 12th, 2023 meeting minutes.
I recommend they be approved, Mr. Chairman. As
So-
presented.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Minutes approved. That is the end. No further,
Move for adjournment.
no further comments.
We're done.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned.